It's so hot that there is a heat advisory in New York State today, yet I am still somehow insane enough to film outside today. 4chan has a discussion board where users research several open source cameras in these threads and share their findings. In 2008, an anonymous user made the initial discovery of a woman that was the first source of years of compelling conversation and fascination. A woman was found sleeping in an odd position after being mistaken for being a corpse, which attracted attention to the site. It soon became apparent that she was sleeping, although at odd times of the day for unnaturally extended periods of time. She spent her nights on the floor or in very uncomfortable chair positions. She claimed to have been implanted with a mind control device at a cartilage bone 3 centimeters off the ankle bone, as well as believing to have a chip under her left eyebrow. She says removing it is not an option as it would threaten her life, and if she made an attempt to, her captor would render her unconscious. Her WordPress blog was eventually discovered and shared by an anonymous user, which led to dozens of her other blogs, which allowed people to learn a lot more about her beliefs. Chip Chan is a Korean woman of unknown age. Another one of her claims is that a dishonest police officer, which she refers to as P, is holding her prisoner. She has been live streaming her apartment every day for more than 10 years using several websites. She is aware that there are webcams installed throughout her apartment, most likely set up by her. Signs in Korean are everywhere in her rooms. The feeds are accompanied with an audio clip in which she describes P, the mind-controlling weapon, and her condition to the listener in her own voice. She spends her time napping, sometimes for more than 12 hours at a time, and browsing the internet. She presents as being untidy, ill, and lazy. She uploads photos and videos of her unidentified wounds and skin rashes and outbreaks. She has been living in this manner since at least 1996. She alleges that the chip, which has the power to render her unconscious at an operator's command, prevents her from leaving her apartment. She has, however, been known to occasionally leave her apartment and has moved about a lot. She avoids attempting to call the police because of concern that corrupt police officer P may learn of her efforts. She has stated that she wants viewers to support her in dealing with P by, among other things, spreading the information and getting in touch with Park Sung-man, her former landlord. Although she is known to have responded to viewers via email and comments on her blog, she does not respond during her live streams. Over the years, a number of theories about Chip Chan have emerged, with hypotheses ranging from the idea that the whole thing was an art project to her being ill to her own story being true. People have made several attempts to get in touch with her, calling the police and even paying her visits at home. Those interested in her story have managed to piece together weird aspects of her life from hundreds of hours of video. To me, her whole life seems weird, not just aspects of it. Her home, which she barely leaves, is believed to be in Seoul. Whenever she does leave, she wears a disguise, and it is only to get more supplies or to join protests against corrupt police. She also seems to sleep for up to 20 hours a day, occasionally in a filing cabinet. She says P sometimes enters her apartment, and when he does, he can turn off her cameras. That's her explanation why those watching have never seen him. Most of the information we know about the woman comes from the rambling, incomprehensible messages she leaves for viewers to read on boards around her room. Someone eventually managed to decode her message, which read, "Don't get tricked, don't get fooled." Every early morning, if someone comes that paralyzes the person, I can't be stopped. Another sign read, "The stalker uses his skill from 2006. I have slept for 20 hours every day since then. I do not know what happens while I sleep. I have always been afraid of sleeping." She claims that she always leaves cameras recording so that she can know what happens while she's asleep. After her initial discovery, a large portion of the internet became devoted to learning more about the woman and theorizing about her, also checking up on her to see what she's up to. Internet speculators have communicated with Seoul police. They are aware of Chip Chan and allege that she is mentally ill, though to our knowledge no attempts by authorities have been made to get her help. Her real name is unknown. Thousands of people have watched her live streams trying to determine if there's any truth to her claims or if she is just mentally ill, which is the most widely accepted theory, specifically that she suffers from paranoid schizophrenia. She has exhibited several common symptoms of the illness, including paranoid delusions or believing that someone is out to harm the sufferer, with no evidence suggesting it, withdrawing from family and friends, as she spends the large majority of her time in her apartment, not seen to have any visitors, a significant decline in self-care, and persistent unusual thoughts. However, this claim is argued since it is believed the majority of people with paranoid schizophrenia try to avoid being watched, whereas Chip Chan has a 24/7 live stream of her apartment, unusual behavior for those who suffer from the illness. Narcolepsy gas has been suggested as an explanation for her abnormal sleep-wake cycles and tendency to abruptly fall asleep in uncomfortable positions and locations. She has expressed that she never has dreams, and this upsets her. Her illness is known to interfere with REM sleep patterns, which is when dreams occur. Another point of evidence for the suggestion that she is narcoleptic. However, it is important to note that many who suffer from the illness fall asleep for short periods of time, sometimes even minutes. It is unknown for Chip Chan to do this. She only has been sleeping for abnormally long periods of time. Even though the fascination with her began over a decade ago, discussion about her is still active. Recently, a user posted to the subreddit dedicated to her that it's miserable and very disturbing to see her rot away. I have heard of her like 3 years ago, and at least she had a place to stay at, and now the situation has become so much worse. Now she's probably homeless with a serious skin disease and abandoned by internet detectives. Their previous investigations have probably made her delusions more severe. Nobody deserves that kind of fate. Someone who emailed her offering help said she got a response. The only thing she will ever tell me is to keep watching her videos and reading her blog. I have heard that South Korea does not have a good mental health system, although I'm sure she wouldn't fare better in the US. Some believe she lived in Canada and New Zealand, but it is not known if she got help there either, unless perhaps she was on meds and doing better at those times. User Fistachos post. So I first heard of Chip Chan when I was 14 or 13, and that scared the shit out of me. I completely forgot about her. Sealed out my memory up until now. I had some flashbacks of her twice or thrice, but that's it. I never did anything to dig deeper. I was 100% convinced that she was long gone, but now I see she might even be in a worse state than not being alive. Now I see the community is pretty hemorrhagic. People rather quit than join, but I hope for some help. What I've learned, leg condition, oozing, itching, they are looking worse every day, even partially black. There are speculations that P may be a caretaker or a friend. Others say P doesn't exist and is a figment of her imagination. As for the years when she streamed constantly, there is no record of anyone entering her home. She believes a mind control weapon is being used against her. She has absolutely severe and catastrophic paranoid schizophrenia. She doesn't want to get help and rejected all previous attempts. As previously stated, South Korea has a reportedly horrible mental health care system, and ill people are ignored and forgotten. She still uploads inconsistent nonsense posts on her various blogs. However, her streams are really occurring, if already non-existent. There are unanswered questions like, where does she get her supplies? Does she have a way to make money? Helping Chip Chan is considered to be utterly pointless, insensitive, and falsely white knightish behavior. Unless you have schizophrenia or are close to someone with it, you are unlikely to know how terrifying it truly is. You can believe you are being spied on, hear voices, or have other auditory hallucinations. Believe your phone and computer are bugged. Think everyone is making a conspiracy against you. You can trust no one. No one believes you, as well as delusions, paranoia. Mental illness is terrifying. Helping someone suffering from these conditions is incredibly difficult, especially if they don't want to help themselves. They live in their own world. Some people apparently tried to help her, contact her, locate her, and it was useless. No one can possibly know in the slightest how she actually feels in her mind, barely even able to comprehend it, especially compared to her recent state of mind. She is a danger to herself. Some say she was always ill, but when her parents passed, she had no one to look after her, and this is how she has been living since. There was a good-sized investigation group dedicated to watching the Chip Chan broadcasts. The post reads, we rotated often, and it was pretty easy to keep an eye on her and anything weird that happened. A few anonymous users decided to email her to try to get more info. She was very distant, often dodging questions with answers that didn't make sense. But after a few weeks of talking to her, it seemed she started to trust them. Amongst the random shit she would say, she would sprinkle in facts about herself. We found out her name and searched every fucking where, and we only found one site. It was in Korean, so we translated it, and the article was about some wealthy business owner that had died, and there was no mention of Chip Chan, so we were stumped. Eventually, we found out where she lived and her room number as well. What struck me as odd was how nice the place was. We looked it up online, and the apartments looked expensive, which confused me because I don't see how she could be paying for it, since none of us at the point have seen her leave for work. An anonymous user decided to call the complex and try to get the operator to transfer the call to Chip Chan's phone. The operator transferred the call. Chip Chan's phone rang, and it resulted in her freaking the fuck out. She started pacing and moving shit around. Eventually, she covered all cameras. She covered them for about an hour or so until she finally uncovered them. After that, she stopped responding to all of our emails. There was a rumor that she was in the threads of one of our investigative groups because she would often tell us things we said in the group chat, but it was never confirmed. Anyways, we tried to find the identity of the man who was supposedly harassing her, also known as P. We found out who he was, but we had no way of contacting him besides phone, but none of us spoke Korean, so we were fucked. Through some godly miracle, a Korean user came along that somehow lived in the same city as her, proof with a timestamp and video as well. He confirmed the complex she lived was pretty upper class. He took photos of it from the outside for us. At one point, we considered sending the Korean anonymous user to Chip Chan's apartment, but we figured she would freak out even more, and we wouldn't get anywhere, so we had him call the detective or whatever the fuck he was. He too dodged all questions about Chip Chan and told the anonymous user not to call back or he would be arrested. We were all stuck for a good week or so until she started responding to emails again. Throughout the conversation, she mentioned an old couple that ran a local small business that she was good friends with. We ran their names and found their shop. It was right next to Chip Chan's complex, so we knew it was them. The Korean user said he had been there before and would try to get some info from the couple. He went and they told him very little. They stated that she was very sick and they would bring her food and other things she needed. Apparently, they were appointed to do so. We didn't know what else to do after this, so we decided to retrace our steps. Now that we had the Korean user, we figured it would make things easier. We went back to the website that we found. He translated it for us, and lo and behold, Google Translate was completely wrong. The article did state that a businessman had passed away, but that his wife passed as well, and that they left behind a sick child. The Korean anonymous user remembered hearing about this since he was in the same city and decided to ask around his neighborhood. He found an older guy who had the actual newspaper on the passings. It stated the same thing as the website, but that Chip Chan was set to inherit her parents' money, which was a fucking lot, and that she refused to get help for her mental illness. No shit. The guy who was harassing her, or P, was actually a good friend of the parents who swore to watch over her after her parents passed away. We knew the whole thing was true because we had the Korean user go around town and ask different people, and they all said it was true. Her inheritance explained how she could pay for that apartment by herself without working, as well as pay for food and supplies. And that's that. Sorry for the abrupt ending, but that's all there was to it. She's unfortunately just mentally ill. We tried to help her after that, but there was nothing we can do. Police cannot force someone to get help for their mental illness if they are not actively threatening the lives of themselves or others. Random people should not go into this trying to help. The only people who are able to handle the situation are trained mental health professionals. She has a YouTube channel called Control Weapon Mind. On it, she posted about her infected leg, saying she saw a doctor, which many people are happy about. She says she has been prescribed an ointment for it that she has been using. She also claims that P's mind control weapon makes it useless. Chips. Chip says she's been using a very strong ointment that she was prescribed by a doctor. Her skin appears much better than it did a few weeks ago. I'm very glad she saw a doctor. She writes on her YouTube channel, "You can endure pain, but can't
itching, so much itchy all over my body, buttocks, back, pelvis. I apply very strong ointment, which was prescribed, but P uses mind control weapon. It became useless. Scabs removed by P. It looks fine, but it's getting worse. Force removing the densely formed scabs. P read my thoughts about filming a video of the leg scabs. He took them off after making me unconscious. Force taking off scabs had damaged my skin more. Endless discharge secreted from the wound dried up and hardened into scabs on my legs after implanting heat rash causing mind control weapon. It looked horrible. When I decided to take the video upload, he took the scabs off after making me unconscious. My legs were covered by the scabs and I tried to take a video closely of the scabs, but he removed them. He tortures me with maximum level of itch, ping tingling, all prickling. P is losing the swelling using mind control weapon.
As well as updating about her skin condition. Shockingly, in recent years, she has been filming outside, specifically recording the police around the city. Alarmingly, someone made a post asking for her address, saying that he will fly to South Korea, marry her, become her legal guardian, and get her American citizenship. It seems like men like this live in their own world just as much as Chip Chan does. Sadly, there are many people all over the world who live like this, especially because there's stigma surrounding mental health, especially in countries like South Korea, where many people suffering from any mental illness do not seek help. A lot of people don't even believe in it. We only know of Chip Chan because she has documented her endeavors online, which is extremely rare. The thousands of other individuals suffering in the same way that she does will never be heard about. Let's talk about mental health and try to get rid of the stigma surrounding it so more people will get help. No one would suffer without treatment to a broken leg. No one should do the same with any mental illness.
¡Pulga! ¡Pulga! ¡Nadie duerme hoy! ¡Pulga! ¡Pulga! ¡Ellas andan sin parar! Pulgas Locas es el divertido juego que te picas como pulga. Tomas un color y ganas y cazas todas las pulgas. ¡Pulga! ¡No las dejes ir! ¡Gané! ¡Pulga! ¡Pulga! ¡Loca! Milton Bradley, una familia de juegos.
XHGC Canal 5, al servicio de la comunidad.
Yadira Villanueva Ojeda, de 23 años, pedimos ayuda para localizar a Selene Delgado López, de 18 años, se extravió el 22 de abril en la delegación Álvaro Obregón.
In the 1990s and 2000s, the Mexican Channel 5, a station that is primarily targeted at children, as the majority of the content broadcasted is children's shows. Many kids from Mexico grew up on the cartoons on the channel, though it also aired a program called At Service of the Community that featured images of people who had vanished with a voiceover giving their description.
2002. Claudia Lilia Cortés Aguirre, de 46 años, se extravió el 6 de enero en Coacalco. Antonio Cuetero, de 11 años, se extravió el 22 de enero de 1997 en el Distrito Federal. María Luisa Salazar Becerril, de 17 años, se extravió el 8 de febrero del año en curso en el Estado de México.
A woman identified as Selene Delgado Lopez, with an accompanying photograph, who was reportedly 18 years old and had vanished on April 22nd, 1990 in Mexico City, was one of the individuals reported in 2001. Reportedly, her family searched for the young woman for 8 years, sharing their story at least once a day in the hope that someone would report a sighting. But at one point, they stopped without any explanation. It was never clear to the public if they found the young woman alive or if she passed away, or simply the relatives gave up because of the poor quality of the shared image. Rumors about Selene Delgado began to circulate. Some said the image was created by AI, and she eventually turned into a well-known urban legend in Mexico. It is said that Channel 5 is attempting to mislead people into thinking Celine Delgado Lopez is more than simply a myth. All of this is part of the news channel's most recent marketing ploy. Channel 5 also published a video about Celine before taking it down at 3 in the morning. This strongly seemed to have worked in favor of the channel. Channel 5 has since been trending worldwide on many social media sites. The image associated with her is a police sketch of Derek Toddley, the Boston rogue serial killer, rather than one from this broadcast, despite not being the original image of Celine Delgado. This picture is frequently confused with her because so many spooky videos compare it to various other faces. The urban legend was much more popular in Mexico before it started to spread across the border when people started to take notice of a Facebook account that I will go over soon. First, people in Mexico speculated many different explanations for why the channel reported on the disappearance of a woman many presumed was fake, primarily found on websites in Spanish. One of them hypothesized that it was actually a search for the young woman who had been reported missing since the 1960s. At the time, people became aware of missing people usually by photos posted around town. This particular speculation suggests that 3 decades later, when her whereabouts are sort of a malicious joke. This explanation only explains why Celine's picture had such a poor quality. Another argument put forward is the theory that Ciudad Juarez's stereotypical view of woman, a place where there are high amounts of crimes committed against women, was expressed by the physical characteristics of the picture. Celine might serve as some sort of protest symbol because the surge of femicides first appeared in this region of the country in the 1990s. There are also more recent explanations that claim the reason Celine Delgado's image is so unsettling and uncomfortable is because it has nothing more than a computer-generated image of a very common face that we would recognize naturally. This image also exhibits the uncanny valley phenomenon, which is when people have an uncanny reaction to things that appear almost human, but we know something is wrong, often for robots and holograms made to look like humans. Similar to the site, this person does not exist, which creates photos of a fake person by using the features of multiple different people and combining them onto one face. But did this technology exist in 2001? Perhaps why so many people had an unsettling reaction to the picture of Celine, but those who see a picture generated from the website would not immediately assume it was not of a real person. In 2011, a mother demanded that police give her information about her daughter who had vanished 2 days previously in Mexico. The mother showed a drawing of her daughter that resembled Celine Delgado, but what was most alarming was that Celine Delgado was also the name of her daughter. There was little information available about the case. Some claimed that she was with her boyfriend, while others claim that it was a political campaign against Enrique Pino Nieto, a politician who was campaigning at the time. A large portion of the public was interested in Celine again, both of them reviving the case that had been talked about for years, though I'm not finding any evidence of this actually happening, just Mexican articles reporting on it. Perhaps it is just a rumor before it was potentially proven that Celine Delgado never existed. The urban legend about a missing person quickly fascinated true crime enthusiasts. A 2020 hoax in which an account referred to
by the name Celine Delgado friended a lot of individuals on Facebook and raised questions about whether it was the same missing person, made the issue more prominent. In the end, evidence indicated that Channel 5 was responsible for the Celine Delgado hoax, a scam about Celine Delgado suddenly appearing on everyone's friend list became viral on Facebook in early September 2020. The account showed a picture of a random woman smiling with short hair wearing an orange sweater, not anything previously associated with her. The hoax was exposed by Mashable, which claimed that Channel 5 had used a viral marketing strategy to persuade Facebook users to create a fake profile for Celine Delgado and then manipulate the account's privacy settings to make it appear to the average user that the account was their friend on Facebook. Photographic evidence was utilized in 2021 by YouTuber Florisitita Dreams to argue that Celine Delgado is not real. The image used for her in the broadcast was compared to the photo now famously associated with her, showing that they were similar in facial structure. The suggestion is that several pictures, including that one, were compiled to make the face for Celine, though there are other explanations. Many families in the 90s did not have particularly high quality cameras. Perhaps this low resolution image was the only recent picture the family had. There are several pictures on the show that are much worse, yet they haven't garnered any attention. It is also possible the records of Celine were lost or not even filed in the first place. If you search for her, people who were on Facebook at the time would see that you can't unfriend her. Blocking her is the only option. People were warning those who they knew and asking for help in removing her and wanting to know how she could have become a friend in the first place. It is most likely that Celine Delgado Lopez wasn't people's Facebook friend in the first place. That's why people were unable to friend her. She's a hoax that has gone viral. The account owner changed settings so that no one could send a request to add her as a friend. The account would appear without the add friend button. This is how the accounts of people who are already on your friends list appear, so it was assumed that she was friends with everyone on Facebook. However, that would be unlikely considering the site has a 5,000 friend limit. Perhaps an actual woman with the same name as the urban legend created a Facebook account for herself using an actual picture of herself, and she is completely oblivious that so many people visited her profile, and it freaked her out. Before it was potentially proven that Celine Delgado never existed, the urban legend about a missing person quickly fascinated true crime enthusiasts. Reportedly, this poor woman was bombarded with messages. She responded to one saying, "I am not missing, nor have I ever been. I am at home with my family. I am fine. I am not even sure how the Celine Delgado mystery became so popular. If users were to go to their own list and search for her, they would see that she wasn't there. Regardless of this being easy to prove false, the hoax continued to circulate. More than 17,000 people have shared Celine's Facebook profile photo. According to her profile, millions of people have watched YouTube videos speculating about Celine's account, which has spread the urban legends about her, including doubts about whether Celine ever existed at all. At the height of the legend's popularity, multiple accounts were created on both Instagram and Facebook for her, likely by different people, similar to Jonathan Galindo accounts who used a picture of an unsettling Mickey Mouse costume. Then they would threaten young, naive people to complete harmful acts without any awards or the blue whale game, though it seems the large majority of accounts for Celine did not contact any other users. The image is used for a horror game called Nextbot Chase, where scary memes are in pursuit of the player. If Celine is actually a real missing person, then it would have been very insensitive for Channel 5 to capitalize from the legend her story was turned into, and simply rude that an image associated with her was used to be a scary antagonist in a horror game, even if the picture wasn't actually her. Though I'm leaning towards it just being made up. Though why would the program feel the need to do this? Did they not have enough missing people to fill up all the time they needed to complete a full episode, and they just made a person and case up? A police report for a missing Celine Delgado Lopez has not been found. Channel 5 has not officially stated that they fabricated the story or given a reason for doing so, but they have mentioned her a few years ago on their Twitter account on a tweet they made at 3 a.m. local time and deleted just a few hours after. They recognized the story's status as an urban legend. Among other unsettling videos. The videos were not created by Channel 5, just re-uploaded from different sources. A children's channel would not normally post content like this unless they are trying to market off of attention garnered from the story. Perhaps the most likely solution is that she is a real missing person whose story was shared on the show, but her image creeped people out and they created an urban legend out of it. If this is the case, it was incredibly insensitive for Channel 5 to make spooky 3 a.m. tweets about the situation, though this successfully brought a lot of attention to Channel 5, even spreading to English media.